Hi everyone, I'm Brune Smith and this is my podcast. Hello everybody, welcome back to the podcast for people who feel things differently. I don't think the fear of being visible ever goes away. I think it's something we get to know almost as a companion. We get to improve our relationship to it, and we get to play by its side. In this episode, I want to give you 5 tips on how to manage your fear of being visible. And listen, I started really telling strangers who I was and showing myself when I was 33, after moving to another continent. So that's how much power I know fear can have over someone. Fear of speaking your truth, of sharing your art or your work, of showing your weirdest, most tender self. For those of you who don't know, in 2017, I moved from France, where I'd grown up, to Canada, where I discovered storytelling shows similar to The Moth, and I started telling personal stories on stage. Like the story of the evening my sister died and the impact it had on my path, or how I found liberation through kickboxing in spite of having injured myself after 3 months and no longer being able to practice. Learning to tell vulnerable stories on stage in a way that could resonate with people gave me more confidence in taking my rightful seat at the table, but most of all, it encouraged me to follow my heart. One key element that helped me be more courageous was that at the time, I was, and still today, I was surrounded by friends who loved me, who understood what I was doing, and who cheered me on. That happened again when soon after telling a few stories on stage, I decided to create an international storytelling show online. And that was before the pandemic. Before Zoom was cool, I wanted to do this thing on Zoom. I wanted to help others tell their story and give a broader access to this art form that had truly changed my life. I almost didn't do it because a lot of people thought it was weird. And even I thought it was weird. But thank goddess I stuck with the idea. Over the course of 18 months, starting a couple months before the pandemic, I got to help over 65 people from different countries tell their story in front of an audience of strangers. So like true, real stories from their lives. It was such a wonderful experience, and we shared truly special moments with the audience and the storytellers. It was so great. But because I was afraid of being visible, I didn't promote the show as much as I could have, now that I think about it. And these people's stories could have reached even more people and touched them and made them feel less alone in their experience. But my ego got in the way. After a year and a half of doing the show, I had to stop for lack of time. But I decided to honor those moments and those very special, vulnerable stories by selecting 20 of them and putting those in a collection that I edited and self-published. I had a lot of fun reaching out to each storyteller again, making sure the stories were ready for the page, but still had that feel of a story told live. And when the book came out, we celebrated together on Zoom with all the storytellers, and I sent each one of them a copy of the book. The book came out a few days before I moved back to Europe in 2022. But because I was afraid of being visible, I did almost zero promotion, giving myself the excuse that moving to another country was a lot to deal with. It was, but the stories in that book are truly incredible, moving, funny, raw, emotional, touching. I'm super proud of having given those brave storytellers a platform, but the stories could have reached more people if only I had dared to speak up about how great this book really is. So I'm going to right that wrong right now, and then I'll move on to the 5 tips of the day. But the link to that book is in the show notes. The book is called Bodies of Stories, 20 Vulnerable Stories Told Live Online. And if you purchase it and after you read it, you can react to the stories by leaving a comment anywhere on my Substack at brunsmith.substack.com. The link is in the show notes. Or you can also email me at brunsmith@substack.com, and I'll be sure to relay your message to the storytellers in the collection. By the way, I want to mention their names today. They are Laura Cusenti, Enid Casablanca, Devin Sandiford, David Rodriguez, Gaurav Madan, Jessamine Paulson, Elaine Gold, Emily Stang, Laurie Lane Murphy, Jeff Roten, Milda Varnos-Kaite, Joanne Pelletier, Mary Rogers, Paula Flallow, Valentina Ortiz, Maggie Panko, Madeleine Holden, Joey Katsky, Karen Davidov, and Nisha Coleman. The wonderful Erin Rogers wrote a foreword, and I wrote a preface. So back to the fear of being visible. I'm actually about to do something that feels scary as hell. For now, I'll just post the trailer in the show notes and you can listen to it when you have the time. But that's why I'm doing this episode today. When I started the podcast, I told you that I was doing it for you and for people who feel things differently, and that I was also doing it for myself to remind myself of the things I need to hear. So here are 5 things I want to remember, and hopefully they will be of use to you as well. That I want to remember anytime I am about to do a brave thing and make myself more visible. Number 1, you want to be very clear about your why. When asking yourself why you really want to do this thing that you want to do in a bigger stage, don't ask your mind, ask your heart. Come back to your why anytime you freak out because you're getting more visible and people you know and don't know are being vocal about something you did or said. Number 2, surround yourself with people who see you. Let go of your loyalties to the people who don't. Tell supportive people about this next big step you're about to take, and let them help. When we're about to do something big and scary, we need a team. Come back to them when doubts creep in, and thank them. Number 3, choose wisely when it comes to what to share and where to share it. Choose your channels with care. You don't have to use Twitter. You don't have to publish on all the platforms. You don't have to make yourself visible everywhere. And you don't have to give all of yourself either. You don't have to read the comments or react to them. You can if you want to. You decide. If you have space for community, great. But your main allegiance should always be to your heart's project. Number 4, when you undertake something new on a bigger stage, you gotta rest and recharge more than usual. I actually got this one today from my friend Julia, who's a composer and UX designer, and who knows a thing or two about creating new things. I'm so thankful for that reminder. Number 5, remember it's all a game, this life. Seriously, be playful. Even when stakes are high and you're showing up braver than you've ever been, you want to go for that feeling of boldness over and over again, and that feeling of showing up with bravery and authenticity, because you know that that's how you can change people's hearts. Thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of this episode. If you did, please email it to a friend or text it to them. Send them the link. Don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. And if you want a recap of the episodes of the week, please subscribe to my newsletter at brunsmith.substack.com. The link is in the show notes. Paid subscribers get access to our monthly creative get-together called the Creative Hour for the price of a latte. So if you want to give it a try for a month, you can cancel anytime. But beyond that, the newsletter is free and I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much, and until next time, let's do things differently.